Tracey Carter has 20 years of sales expertise under her belt. She has started and built multiple companies, and she's won numerous awards for her sales prowess. She's here today to share some sales secrets with you. Hi, I'm Emily LaRouche. Are you ready to make the journey from lawyer to entrepreneur? Every week I'm sitting down with people who have mastered the art of running a business and want to share with you the lessons they've learned along the way. Join me as we experience the highs, the lows, and everything in between as we learn, share, and grow together. Welcome to Share the Love. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So Tracey, when was the first time you realized that sales was your jam?
That's actually a great question. I had no idea sales was my jam. It was in college, and I was looking for a job and went to the school newspaper and found a job at Wilson's Leather and became the top salesperson for the entire store, 11th overall. It was just kind of natural for me. So that was when I first realized that was my path.
You were like, wow, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got a talent.
A hidden talent.
Yes, very cool. When I started a business, the one thing that I was thinking, okay, I want to start the business. I know a lot about customer service, that kind of thing. Great. But when it came to sales, I was petrified because my experience with sales is it's shady and it's slimy and it's sleazy and I just hate it.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be that way, does it?
No, it really doesn't have to be that way. This is the information age, and people can find a lot of information now. So the car salesman approach is dead. And the way that I approach things is, you're a person, I'm a person, we're having a conversation. If I can help you with something, if I can provide some solutions for you, then great. And if not, that's fine too. So, I would definitely stay away from any type of hardcore sales approach. I don't think it's very effective, and I think it really turns people off. It's a lot of the reason why people feel that way about salespeople.
Got it. And I hate sales so much, I couldn't even call someone in my own company a salesperson. So we call them a solutions consultant.
I like it.
I think it's a little more collaborative.
Yeah.
And sometimes the solution isn't us. Sometimes it's another competitor, it's someone else who can meet their needs. So I feel like it's our job to know a lot about what's out there so that you can provide solutions to people.
Yeah, you definitely have to know your marketplace. You have to know who your competitors are. You need to be able to show why and demonstrate why your product or service is better than the next person's. That's only part of it, though. You've got to be able to build that rapport with that person when they have many companies to choose from. There's got to be something else, that sort of, edge that you have that, that gives you, that helps you, land that deal. So, those are some of the things that, I think are important.
And I feel like if you create a rapport with someone, you connect with them about something, they tend to know, like, and trust you a little more. And people do business with people they know, like, and trust. We all know that. So a few episodes ago, my friend Tyler sold me out for being a social media stalker. And I think it's a great way to learn more about people, and it helps me to connect better with them. And I'm wondering if you've used it, and what are some unique ways that you found to connect with people?
Yeah, I'm definitely a social media stalker. I tell people that. I have no problem telling people that. I find all kinds of ways of stalking people. Whether it be they've posted on a blog, or maybe it's an article that they wrote, maybe it's they're on LinkedIn, there's something tied into their company, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, wherever they're at, that's where I'm going to be. And I'm going to also follow and look at the things that they're most interested in, because I want to learn about them and what's important to them. And that's what I call being a subject matter expert on the person that you're targeting, but also you want to be a subject matter expert on the company. So those are very, very important things that a lot of people just send out. I get those emails all the time through LinkedIn. Here's feature, this is what I'm selling, and they think I'm going to respond to that with, yeah, sure, that sounds great, let me sign up. And that's just not how it works. You've got to be able to tie it back into something that they're interested in, something that's important to them. Is it driving sales revenue? Is it solving some other type of problem? What is it? And then you also got to really make sure you're focusing on what type of persona, buyer persona you're talking about. And when I say buyer persona, what I mean by that is you want to understand who that person is. You don't want to give the same You don't want to address the person who's a CEO the same way as a CFO or the CMO. They're all different, and you have to understand that going into it. So you need to be able to speak their language.
Got it. And so a lot of our viewers, they are running law firms. They may or may not have intake specialists who are great at sales. What are some ways that you can quickly create rapport on the phone with someone who it's completely cold, you've never talked to before?
Yeah, so what I would really recommend, and this, I actually just went through this myself from a car accident. I really felt like the gal on the other end of the line was an order taker, and had I not already worked with this firm before, I probably wouldn't have dealt with it. It just felt really cold. When you, for example, if you're, it's a criminal defense or personal injury attorney, let's just say personal injury, for example, when someone's been in an accident and something's happened, they're kind of emotional, and you want to make sure you don't just start, with the 50 questions. Have a little empathy, get them talking a little bit. Then as you're having a conversation, go through and get those questions answered. That's going to build that rapport, it's going to build that trust, and it's going to show that you care, because they do care about that.
Absolutely. And I've had a lot of people ask about scripting. And my thought on scripting is, like you said, scripting is scripting. It's manufactured. It feels very sterile. So, of course, when you're doing an intake, you've got your set end game of questions. You know what you need to know in order to get them in for a consultation. But it shouldn't be heavily scripted, right? If it was more conversational, I'm so sorry this happened. Tell me about it. What's going on? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
You can still get the details without having to
sound like a robot.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, nobody wants to deal with a robot. They want to deal with a real life person. Scripts can be helpful as sort of a blueprint as you're going through, just making sure that you're covering all your bases. But have a conversation as you're going through it. I mean, anybody's capable of doing that. They have conversations every day. Also remembering the details of when somebody tells you something. I've noticed that's one of my pet peeves, is when I have to repeat myself over and over again. So I think when you're going through a script, a lot of times you're just not really listening.
Right, you're focused on the one question in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
And I think that a little bit of sales training can go a long way for law firms, because a lot of times they might have a legal assistant taking the call. They're busy, they're multitasking, it's great that they'll answer the phone, but without that sales training, are you really converting? So what do you do when you go in and you're working with the team and you go in to do some sales training? Kind of, where do you start off?
Well, I start off with the prospecting piece, if that's what we're working on. But let's say it's an inbound lead, for example. I'm going to just talk to them about what's your approach. I mean, when somebody calls in, what do you say to these people? Let's talk about what your conversation is, what it looks like. What kinds of questions are you looking to get from them, answered from them, and then what are you doing after? So one of the things I think happens a lot of the time is, sure, they might get the call, but then it never really goes anywhere. They don't, have their calendar open. They don't get them locked down for a meeting. So I always have my calendar open. So as I'm talking to them and I'm getting information, I'm having a conversation with them. Then, once there's that point where it's like, okay, time to move to the next step, well, I've got my calendar open. I have this time on Tuesday and Wednesday at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, respectively. Would that work for you, or would a different time be better? And then you wait, and you don't say anything, and you just let them respond. Because a lot of times people will jump in and try to add something. Don't do that. They're looking in their calendar, so just wait for that.
Okay.
It's important to embrace those silences.
That's excellent. I think that might be a good sales technique for our lawyers who are talking about pricing. They are not salesmen, but they have to be salesmen and women in order to get leads to convert.
Right.
So you think that, when you're talking about these are my fees for this, just get real quiet? Or what would you recommend as far as the sales piece? As
far as the fees, I think it's important to be transparent. If they have set fees, I think it's important to be transparent about that. People don't like that, dodgy kind of thing. But I would say at the same time, each individual case is different. And what I would recommend is that we have a consultation, then we can talk about, what types of fees. That's probably what I would do. But if they're just like, no, I have to know what the fee, if there's a consultation fee, be upfront about it.
Right. So they come in, they've got the consultation, maybe free, maybe paid, whatever the case may be. Now it's time to talk about, here's what it's actually going to cost in order to represent you. And I'm wondering if a lot of people are maybe not following up with the call to action. So we might get calls from people who say, I just want to know what your ballpark fees are for XYZ. We could give them a ballpark fee, but if you don't follow that up with a call to action, it gets awkward really fast.
Right. Yeah, you definitely need to get face to face with these folks. It is important to make sure that you're following up. I know that a lot of people, this happens to salespeople all the time. You know, they get a lead, they have a maybe they have a conversation, and then it just falls out. It falls off the radar. If you don't have a working CRM, if you don't have a way to, again, like you said, have a call to action, have a next step, then you're going to lose track of those people, and you're going to lose dollars as a result.
Absolutely. And we are going to have one of the founders of Lexicata CRM for Lawyers on in a couple of episodes. So I'm very excited because they have created a CRM to track and manage your leads. And to your point, if you're not doing that, where are your leads going? I mean, at the very least, they need to go into Excel. And then what do you do with them? I mean, if someone's calling looking for a divorce, you know, there's only so many months that can go by before they've already done it. So what's the follow-up process like?
Yeah, well, someone who's going through a divorce, that's an impending event. So that's very, very important to get them in as quickly as possible. And, you know, I used to work with attorneys. I worked with attorneys for 2 years. I know, you know, how it's difficult for them to handle the sales role sometimes. They have to be kind of stern sometimes. And, you know, I think they just have to pull back on that a little bit because this isn't a transactional type of a deal. You know, this is a very emotional situation. And, you know, not that they need to be, you know, super emotional, but they just need to understand that their client's probably going to be really emotional. So I think if they can, you know, respond to that and sort of mirror that when they're on the telephone, I get it. You know, I just help somebody, give an example, tell a story. Just help somebody with this and this and this, and we had a successful result. Would love to have you come in. You know, you can meet our team. I'd love to meet with you in person, understand your particular situation better, and then we can talk about, you know, if you want to take next steps.
None of that felt salesy at all. I was like, yeah, I do want to come in. I do want to meet your team. So
exactly.
That's a really good approach. I like that.
But CRM, I do want to go real quick back to the CRM tool. It is critical in my mind to have a CRM because you will lose track. And you know, you can do deal flows in there, you can create workflows, you can do all these, you know, wonderful things. And there are people who will do it independently as an independent contractor for you if you don't need a full-time person. So I think it's really important because as you're going through that, you're going to need to know where are they at in the process, what's the next step. You know, do I need to send an email? Do I need to make a phone call? Do I need to schedule an appointment? What do I need to do? Otherwise, you're leaving deals on the table. There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
You need to be able to track that.
And then are you a believer in creating a firm sales process within a company that everyone kind of follows the same process?
I think there should be some process for sure. That being said, people have different styles of selling, and what works for me, you know, might not work for somebody else as successfully because it wouldn't feel authentic to them. So I think there has to be some level of authenticity. If you try to, with salespeople especially, they tend to be very creative. So I think putting everybody into this very limited, you know, box is maybe not quite the right approach. There should be certain criteria that have to be met because you have to have some standardization. But yeah, there should be some freedom there too, in my opinion.
That makes sense. You're right. Salespeople are creative. They kind of want to go out and do their thing, and they want to go out, hunt, kill, bring it home, and do it in their own way.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. So before we wrap up, I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
If you had to choose a brand new career, what would it be?
Retirement.
I love it. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Best thing that's happened this year?
My new job, Juliet, that I adopted from Halo.
Oh, what's Halo? Go ahead and give it a shout out.
Yes, it stands for Helping Animals Live On, and they're all over Arizona. They may even be beyond that, but they're usually at PetSmart. And she's a little Chihuahua, and she's just been such a blessing.
Very cute.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you want viewers to take away from today and go do right away?
Take away from today, rethink your process. Rethink, you know, rethink what you're doing. You know, if you're not getting if you're not to full capacity, then ask yourself why, and just go right down the line. Look at all the different ways that you're interacting with your clients or your future clients, and just break it down and look for what's wrong. And if you need help, I can help you with that.
Awesome. And how do our guests find you?
Yes, they can find me at nextlevelset.com, which is www.nextlevel, set.com. And Tracey Carter, I am here to help in any way I can, whether it be helping align your sales and marketing team, helping you with your processes, helping you with appointments. You know, I do a number of different things all around sales enablement.
Awesome. So if your firm needs some sales training or you need some consulting to get your sales processes in order, check out the links below. Mention you saw Tracey on the Back Office Betty Share the Love podcast show, and she'll give you half off of her setup fee. So check it out. Check her out. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Share the Love. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, share, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google Play to get the latest content.